A house is supposed to be a safe place, a sanctuary from the outside world. But what if the real danger is already inside? Some walls remember too much, and some homes never let their residents leave. Today, we're unlocking the doors to the 10 most haunted houses in the world. Be warned, once you step inside, you might not be able to leave. Let's start our tour in the United States, with a name that sends shivers down the spine: the Amityville House. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his entire family in this quiet suburban home on Long Island. Just over a year later, the Lutz family moved in, but they fled in terror after only 28 days. They reported swarms of flies in the dead of winter, strange odors, cold spots, and terrifying apparitions. George Lutz claimed to wake up every morning at 3:15 a.m., the exact time of the murders. The family described green slime oozing from the walls and a demonic pig-like creature with glowing red eyes staring at them. Was it a hoax for fame and fortune, or did a malevolent force truly drive them from their home? The debate rages on, but the legend of Amityville remains one of America's most infamous ghost stories. Next, we journey to San Jose, California, to a house so bizarre it could only be designed by spirits. This is the Winchester Mystery House. After the tragic deaths of her infant daughter and husband, rifle heiress Sarah Winchester was told by a psychic that she was cursed by the spirits of all those killed by Winchester rifles. The only way to appease them, she was told, was to continuously build a house for them. For 38 years, from 1886 until her death in 1922, construction never stopped. The result is a sprawling, nonsensical mansion with over 160 rooms, staircases that lead to ceilings, doors that open to solid walls, and windows that look into other rooms. It's a labyrinth designed to confuse the vengeful spirits Sarah believed were hunting her. Visitors and staff today report hearing phantom footsteps, disembodied voices calling their name, and seeing doorknobs turn on their own. Sarah's spirit is often seen, still overseeing the endless construction of her bizarre, beautiful, and utterly terrifying home. Now, we cross the Atlantic to Wotton under Edge, England, to a place many call the most haunted house in Britain, the ancient Ram Inn. Built in 1145 on what is believed to be an ancient pagan burial ground, this inn's history is steeped in darkness. It's been the site of alleged child sacrifice, devil worship, and was used to hide witches. The current owner, who lived there for decades, reported being physically attacked and dragged from his bed by unseen forces. Guests have fled in the middle of the night, terrified by the sounds of a screaming woman, the feeling of being touched by invisible hands, and the sight of a full-bodied apparition of a high priestess in the most haunted room, the bishop's room. The inn is also said to be home to a succubus and an incubus, demonic entities that prey on sleeping guests. Even the most hardened paranormal investigators have left the ancient Ram Inn shaken to their core. Let's fly down under to Junee, New South Wales, and the Monte Cristo homestead, often called Australia's most haunted house. The Crawley family built this Victorian manor in 1885, and their spirits seem to have never left. A series of tragic deaths occurred on the property. A young child was dropped down the stairs, a maid fell from a balcony, and a stable boy burned to death. The most prominent ghost is that of Mrs. Crawley herself. After her husband's death, she reputedly only left the house twice in 23 years, becoming a recluse. Her spirit is now said to haunt her former room, and her presence is felt as an icy cold touch. Visitors report seeing ghostly figures, hearing disembodied whispers, and having their names called out by an unseen woman. The house's automated lights are known to turn on and off by themselves, and some people feel an overwhelming sense of sadness wash over them as they walk the halls. Back to the United States, this time to the Deep South. Welcome to the Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. Billed as one of America's most haunted homes, this antebellum plantation is said to be home to at least 12 different ghosts. The most famous legend is that of Chloe, an enslaved woman who was punished for eavesdropping. In revenge, she allegedly baked a poisoned cake, which tragically killed the plantation owner's wife and 2 daughters. Chloe was then hanged by fellow slaves. Today, she is the plantation's most famous spectral resident, often photographed as a shadowy figure wearing a green turban. Other reported hauntings include the ghosts of the 2 murdered children who are seen playing on the veranda, a ghostly girl who appears only in a large mirror in the entryway, and the spirit of William Winter, a former owner who was shot on the front porch and died trying to climb the stairs to his wife. His phantom footsteps are still heard on those stairs to this day. Our next stop is Leap Castle in Ireland, a place with a bloody and brutal history. The Bloody Chapel is the site of a horrific fratricide, where a priest was murdered at the altar by his own brother during Mass. His spirit is said to still haunt the chapel, and a light is often seen in the chapel window late at night. But Leap Castle is most famous for its oubliette, a hidden dungeon where prisoners were dropped through a trapdoor to be forgotten, left to die on a bed of spikes below. When the oubliette was rediscovered, it took 3 cartloads to remove all the human bones. The castle is also home to a terrifying entity known as the Elemental. It's described as a hunched, beast-like creature about the size of a sheep with a decaying face and a smell like a rotting corpse. It is a primal, ancient spirit that was here long before the castle, and its presence is said to bring a feeling of absolute dread. Now for something truly disturbing. We're not visiting a house, but an entire island. Welcome to Poveglia Island, near Venice, Italy. Its dark history began during the Roman era, when it was used to isolate plague victims. Later, during the Black Death, it became a massive quarantine colony. It's estimated that over 160,000 plague-ridden souls died here, their bodies burned in giant pits. The soil is said to be 50% human ash. But the horror didn't stop. In the 1920s, a mental hospital was built on the island. The head doctor was rumored to be a sadist who tortured and experimented on his patients, performing crude lobotomies with hammers and chisels. He eventually went mad himself, claiming he was haunted by the plague ghosts, and threw himself from the hospital's bell tower. Today, the island is strictly off-limits to visitors, but fishermen refuse to go near it, claiming their nets pull up human bones. Those who have snuck onto the island report hearing screams, seeing flitting shadows, and being overcome by an evil, oppressive atmosphere. Let's head to the beautiful Canadian Rockies, to a location that looks like a fairy tale castle but hides a dark secret. This is the Banff Springs Hotel in Alberta. While a luxury destination, it has its share of permanent, spectral guests. The most famous is the Ghost Bride. The story goes that on her wedding day in the 1920s, she stumbled on the grand marble staircase, her dress caught fire from the candles lining the stairs, and she fell to her death. Guests and staff have reported seeing her ghostly figure, dressed in her wedding gown, dancing alone in the ballroom, or walking up and down the staircase, where she met her tragic end. Another resident ghost is Sam the Bellman, a friendly spirit who worked at the hotel until his death in 1975. He apparently loved his job so much, he never left. Guests have reported a helpful, elderly bellman, in an old-fashioned uniform, assisting them with their bags, only for him to vanish into thin air. Our penultimate destination is in France's Loire Valley, at the magnificent Château de Brie. It is the tallest castle in France, and home to one of its most famous ghosts, La Dame Verte, or the Green Lady. The legend dates back to the 15th century, when the castle's owner, Jacques de Brez, discovered his wife Charlotte was having an affair. One night, he allegedly murdered both her and her lover. Charlotte's spirit has roamed the castle ever since. She is most often seen in the tower's chapel room, wearing her favorite green dress. But it's not her appearance that is most terrifying, it's her face. Witnesses say where her eyes and nose should be, there are only gaping, black holes, and when she is not seen, she is heard, moaning and wailing throughout the castle halls, forever lamenting her untimely demise. Finally, we return to the United States, to the French Quarter of New Orleans, and a house with a history so vile, it's almost unbelievable, the Lalaurie Mansion. In the 1830s, Madame Delphine Lalaurie was a wealthy, respected socialite, but behind the closed doors of her opulent mansion, she was a monster. A fire in 1834 exposed her horrific secret. When rescuers broke into the attic, they discovered a torture chamber where dozens of enslaved people were found, chained, mutilated, and in various states of torment. Madame Lalaurie escaped justice and fled to Paris, but the tormented souls of her victims are said to remain. The mansion is considered one of the most paranormally active sites in New Orleans. Passersby report hearing agonizing screams and moans coming from the empty house at night. Apparitions have been seen in the windows, and many who have tried to live or work there have been driven out by intense, malevolent activity. We've toured mansions of madness, castles of sorrow, and homes built on foundations of pure evil, each holding onto the echoes of its past, and the most haunted house of all might be the one you're living in, if you listen closely enough. What was that noise? Thanks for joining us on this terrifying tour. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay safe and try not to think about what goes bump in the night.